If I told you one man survived not one, but 10 nuclear explosions, would you believe me? Imagine this: you wake up in a city that's already struggling under the weight of a world war. You go to work like any other day. You worry about food, safety, the future, normal human fears. By noon, the sky above you turns white. A light brighter than the sun itself swallows your world whole. You're thrown into darkness. Yet somehow, you survive. You drag your burned body home, desperate for safety, only to see the same sky flash again 2 days later. One man lived that nightmare. And today, you're going to discover how Tsutomu Yamaguchi survived to nuclear detonations, Hiroshima and Nagasaki, what he saw in the moments the world changed forever, what his survival teaches us about fate, war, and the fragility of life. Because once you hear this story, you'll never think about luck the same way again. It was August 6, 1945, 7:30 a.m. Tsutomu Yamaguchi, a 29-year-old engineer from Mitsubishi, was completing a 3-month work assignment in Hiroshima. This was supposed to be his final day. The day he packed up, boarded a train, and returned to Nagasaki to see his wife and young son. He was thinking about home, about rest, about peace. But peace was about to vanish in the most violent way imaginable. On his walk to the shipyard, he heard an engine, a single plane in the sky, unusual, but not enough to cause alarm. Then a flash so bright he thought the sun had exploded. There was no warning, no sound at first, just light. A dome of white engulfed the entire city. Then the shockwave hit. It picked Tsutomu up like a rag doll and hurled him through the air. He felt heat tear at his skin. He heard glass shatter, metal twist, buildings collapse. When he woke, he was bleeding, burned, half deaf, and around him, Hiroshima was gone. Everything familiar had become a wasteland of flame and rubble. He staggered to his feet, trying to understand what had happened. Was this hell? Was this the end of Japan? Was this the end of the world? But the truth was worse than anything he could imagine. Tsutomu limped through the streets, searching for anyone who could help him get home. He saw shadows burned permanently onto walls, people who had been vaporized instantly. He saw survivors wandering blindly, clothes burned off, skin hanging from their arms like melted wax. He smelled smoke, blood, and something he could never describe, but he didn't stop. He knew he had to get back to Nagasaki to warn his family that something unimaginable had happened. At the ruins of a train station, he found something close to a miracle: a functioning train, packed with survivors, injured, terrified, but moving. He boarded it, and after a long, agonizing night, he made it home. When Tsutomu stumbled into his house, his wife gasped. His body was covered in burns and bandages, his face barely recognizable. He told her everything: the flash, the fire, the blast, the dead city. And he said, with absolute certainty, Nagasaki is next. But people didn't believe him. Even his boss, at Mitsubishi headquarters, dismissed him when he tried to explain what had happened. A single bomb can't destroy an entire city, they said. That's impossible. But Tsutomu had seen the impossible. It was August 9, 1945, 2 days after Hiroshima. Tsutomu went to work despite his injuries, despite the fear, despite the warnings no one listened to. At 11:02 a.m., he was explaining to his manager what the Hiroshima bomb looked like. He described the flash, the heat, the shock, and right as he said the words, it looked like a giant magnesium flare. Another white flash lit up the room. He knew instantly. His legs gave out. Not again. No, not again. But it was happening. A second nuclear bomb, Fat Man, had just detonated over Nagasaki. The office windows shattered inward. The blast ripped through the building. Tsutomu was thrown to the ground again, this time landing face first into the same floor he'd stood on seconds earlier. 2 cities, 2 bombs, 3 days, and he had survived both. Tsutomu lay in the rubble, barely conscious. Colleagues were screaming. Smoke filled the air. The world had exploded a second time, but he was alive. Somehow, he was still alive. He crawled through the ruins, searching again for his family. His burns reopened. His eardrums throbbed. Radiation sickness set in. When he reached home, he found his wife and child alive, by sheer coincidence. They had left to buy ointment for his Hiroshima burns at the exact moment the bomb hit and avoided the worst of the blast. The family survived, against all odds. In the decades that followed, Tsutomu Yamaguchi battled radiation sickness, hair loss, chronic pain, the trauma of witnessing to apocalypse, but he also found purpose. He became an outspoken advocate for nuclear disarmament, He said he survived for a reason, to warn future generations. Not with anger. Not with bitterness. But with the simple truth that he had seen the end of the world twice and didn't want anyone else to experience it. In 2009, the Japanese government officially recognized him as the only known person to survive both atomic bombs. He passed away in 2010 at age 93.90-3 years old. The man the world tried twice to kill ultimately died peacefully of natural causes. Tsutomu's story teaches us human resilience is far greater than we imagine. War doesn't choose its victims, but survival sometimes does. A single life can carry a message powerful enough to change history. He saw the world in twice. He survived twice, and he spent the rest of his life trying to make sure no one else ever would. Now that you know the unbelievable true story of the man who survived to nuclear bombs, do you think Tsutomu Yamaguchi was incredibly lucky or incredibly unlucky? Let viewers debate it.